Hi, welcome to the Afrocentric Woman. I'm not gonna hold you long. I'm not gonna hold you long on the line. Um, but I do want to give you some advice for those of you who are going to becoming parents. Um, if you're going to be having a baby, I'll just give you a little bit of advice. I started to give you all this advice actually before this story came out, but um, now it's relevant, so you should know. Listen, as Black women, we are vilified and demonized a lot of times in the obstetric care. We are ignored. Our pain is ignored. People make a lot of medical providers make a lot of bigoted, prejudiced assumptions about Black women. Um, a lot of times we might be treated like criminals or drug addicts or whatever, and it doesn't matter your education level or your age. Once you enter into that system, it's just like um, those are the things that Black women face. Even if you're with a non-Black man, you still face these things as a Black woman. We still be being Black no matter where we go. There, wherever we go, there we are. Listen, lie to these people, okay? Now, some of the main reasons why they're calling some, like excuses that they're calling CPS, if you don't want to follow their protocols of what they think is best for your child. So like if you don't want to do vitamin K shot, they can call CPS on you. If you don't want to do a vaccine, they can call CPS on you. um if you want to treat jaundice in a different way, they can call CPS on you. Even if you're trying to breastfeed, for example, if you're trying to breastfeed and they say that the baby's not getting enough, even though they can't even measure it, and they say, no, we recommend bottle feeding, even if you're like, no, I don't want to bottle feed, I want to breastfeed, they can call CPS. So what I'm saying is like, there are all these excuses, there's all these trumped up reasons why they can like file a report on you as a new mother. So whatever they say, usually just go along with it. But like if they're like, "Oh, we think you need to bottle feed your baby because we don't think they're getting enough breast milk," be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure. All right, fine. Okay, well, what bottle do you recommend? Okay, great. All right, well, I'll look into, we'll go ahead and pick that up, and then just go home and breastfeed your baby. Okay. It with the vitamin K shot, if you don't want to get it that day, just tell them you're going to get it at the first newborn appointment. Don't tell them that you don't believe in vitamin K and you don't believe in it and you're not doing it. Just keep that to yourself. If you don't want to do the vitamin K shot, then just tell them that you'll do it at the newborn appointment. If they tell you to take your baby to the hospital because of jaundice, just say, okay, which hospital? Okay, great. I'll take them in. And then just don't do it. I mean, I'm not saying don't do it if it's severe, but if you have another medical provider that's telling you that it's a mild case and that they give you another protocol and you want to follow that, then follow that. If you don't feel like they need to be hospitalized for that. But don't tell them what you're going to do because they demonize us. They demonize us and you can catch a case. That's what I've always told women who are doing things alternatively. Um, we cannot do what our white counterparts do. Like these women can walk up in there, do whatever they want, take their baby the same day. Sometimes they don't even stay the recommended 24 hours. They just go in there, had a baby, and pack up their stuff and leave out and don't catch no CPS case. But a Black woman who does the exact same thing will be called a negligent parent, denying medical care of their child. Like we are on a total, we're judged completely and totally differently. So, just know that you cannot, you might be in some crunchy group online or, hanging out with so and so and she did it, but we're different. And just to avoid drama in your life, just lie. Just lie, nod, say okay, and go do whatever you want. I mean, I think that's probably my advice on a lot of things. Just say whatever and then just go off and do whatever you want. Do whatever you feel like you need to do, but you don't have to make a grand announcement about your beliefs, or what you will and what you won't do. Just know that there's just this undertone of looming political crap, or rather legal crap that can really interfere with your life. Like, I'm saying all of this prompted by this story of this couple whose child was taken from them. Um, I had got an email about that, and the organization that they're affiliated with that has taken up this case is like really problematic organization. I mean, like, they're just a problematic organization. So I really was like not taking it seriously, like, at all. But aside from the organization, listening to the family, I do feel bad. I feel really, really bad for them. Um, if it were me, I wouldn't even be making they're making it about home birth, which I think complicates things even more. I would just leave the home birth part out because that's like irrelevant to this particular story. It is irrelevant to the story because the story is really about treatment of jaundice. That's really the heart of the matter. And it's really not about home birth, but I think this organization, they have like agendas, and it's just they're really muddying the waters, and they're making it about so many other things that this is not even about. This is like difference of opinions of two different medical providers. And I think as a patient who's a consumer of healthcare, I do believe that you have the right to have a second and a third opinion on a particular case. Why do they call it practicing medicine? Because they're practicing. Like, eh, you know, you could have present with the exact same symptoms and get different diagnosis, or have one diagnosis and talk to three different providers, and they're going to have three different treatment plans. So it's not a uniform science. It is subjective within the hands of the provider. So I think that that's really the issue. And also, I feel like if the block is hot, leave. You know what I'm saying? If the block is hot, move around. Move around, because at the end of the day, like, really and truly, we don't individual an individual family does not have the wherewithal to resist law enforcement. Do y'all remember Marion Gold? I think her name was like Marion Galdobo or something like that, out of Detroit. A very similar situation. She had a daughter who I believe had Down syndrome and or autism, and maybe some other uh, another psychiatric uh, condition. And she was recommended some psychotropic drugs. The mom tried them. She said that her daughter had adverse reactions to the medications, so she weaned her off of the medications and was trying other modalities to help her daughter. And her daughter was thriving with her. She was at a good health. She was at a good weight. She was as, you know, independent as she could be. She was doing therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all of that. The mother was keeping up with it, but they kicked down this woman's door. She had a standoff. She had a standoff with the police in Detroit, and had called, I think, the Nation of Islam. She had called a bunch of black men, and they surrounded her house, but they all stood down and allowed, you know, the police, the CPS up in Detroit, and the police to take this girl from her mother. I think that they both actually passed away. I think the girl passed away like not too long after that. And then Marion passed away like a couple of years ago. And I really think that they left this earth too soon because they were separated. And I think that she needed to be with her daughter and her daughter needed to be with her. So it's really a really tragic story, but um, it's reminiscent of this story of this child being taken from her parents. And you know what I'm thinking? Like, I just don't even know how you could even heal your relationship after this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you look at your husband, with any type of respect, and like your child was taken from you on his watch? I don't know. I'm not saying that he's supposed to be Superman or something like that. I just think it's damaging. I think it's irreparable damage to the relationship that you are always going to have in your mind, that this man allowed these people to come and snatch your baby on his watch. Like, he's still alive. Like, they didn't have to pass through his dead body to snatch that baby. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't have to like neutralize him. Like, he just stepped to the side and left his child and the woman vulnerable. It to this. I'm just saying, like, child, I couldn't look at my husband with no type of respect ever in my life again if that happened. So I just think it's best to just avoid uh situations like that by lying and omitting information, moving around if the block is hot, um, until things are sorted out. And lawyer up, lawyer up. I mean, they should have, you know, move around. The block is hot. Get a lawyer and have them communicate on your behalf. Because CPS, they don't really too much like fooling with like private lawyers. They really don't. Because a lot of their paperwork be janky as hell, for real. A lot of their paperwork be janky. They take children that shouldn't be taken and leave children in the care of people who they don't need to. Like, they are so backwards. I mean, they're just so backwards and illogical. I mean, all of my interactions with them over the years has just been horrendous. I mean, they are an ass backward agency with no rhyme or reason to their mandate and how they should be working. Um, we should have someone out here protecting children, but this agency gets it wrong so much. These agencies, state like countrywide, you know, in the different states, they're constantly getting it wrong, and they're always getting it wrong with Black families. I mean, they're just so uneducated on so many things. Like, you're sitting up here trying to remove children from conditions that they don't even understand. And these people, these workers, these case managers, they have no medical training at all. And do you think that if there's a medical case, that the case is transferred to a professional that actually has knowledge of medical information, and let them handle it? No, they're just given to these layman people. I believe they need like a high school diploma or some shit like that. Very basic. And they don't even know what they're looking at. They're looking at these children's charts. They don't even know what they're looking at. They're just taking the doctor's words. And if the doctor is prejudiced or on a high horse and want to exert power or is upset, listen, I'll tell you, I've seen it. Doctors get pissed off if you don't want to follow, if you think what they're saying is bullshit and you don't want to do it. Their egos can be bruised. Their egos can be bruised if you don't want to follow their protocol. And so if their ego gets bruised and then they want to pick up the phone and make a phone call on you, oh, this woman is being negligent of this child. And just like that, a whole domino effect of drama and chaos has been unleashed in your life by having this case opened up on you. Anybody can open up a CPS case on anyone, um, just with a phone call, literally. Um, so I think the best thing to do is to lie and omit when you don't want to follow the treatment plan or if you want to get a second opinion. And I'll tell you another thing. Um, be leery of be leery of doctors that only serve like a Medicaid population. They're very jaded and they're overworked and they don't even believe in the patients. For example, like a lot of times they don't do nutritional counseling. For example, like let's say a woman has gestational diabetes, they won't even do any nutritional counseling with her or refer her to a dietitian. They'll just like, oh, here's your insulin. Because they just why? Because they don't believe that she'll comply. They don't believe that she will implement any changes. They think that they think lowly of the patients. And they don't believe the patients are capable of being a participant in their own care. And so I would stay away from the providers that only service a low income Medicaid population because they're going to assume you're uh of that community. Okay? You're of that population that doesn't care. And so when you're saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to not do XYZ treatment or I'm not going to do vaccinations or I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z," um, you're more likely to get a CPS referral because they make lots of CPS referrals, probably some of them merited. So just stay away from those kinds of doctors. I mean, I know I've learned that over the years. I remember when I was living in one town and I was trying to support a Black university hospital, and child, it was just such a mess. It was just a mess. And then I ended up going, yeah, it was just a mess. I ended up going out to the suburbs for like all my care. I was like, you know what? It's night and day. Like, even my pharmacy, like, when I was going to the pharmacy in my old neighborhood, it was just so ratchet. It would take them like 2 days to fill the prescription. Um, it was just a mess. And then now in my new neighborhood, like, okay, so my old neighborhood, like my doctor might call in, electronically send my prescription to the pharmacy. They would never fill it. So I'd have to call them and harass, like, hey, did you get my, doctors, da 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 da, and I'd have to like make them do it. And it would take a day or two to get my prescription. But with over here in this affluent area, by the time I'm even driving home, like the prescription is already filled and they're like texting me, "Hey, come pick up your prescription." So, I say like it does matter where you go to get care. It does matter. So if you have the means to go to a better neighborhood, just do it. Even if you don't live there, just drive there, get there the best way you can because it's going to be night and day how you're treated. Why? Because people who are affluent have a lot of expectations and they have a lot of demands and they have a certain levels that they expect to be treated and they just don't accept any old thing the way lower income people do. And so even with some of these establishments, it'll be like the same company, one in the Black neighborhood, one in an affluent neighborhood, same company, but the one in the Black neighborhood is dilapidated. Why? Because people allow it to be dilapidated. They don't call in, they don't, complain about it. They just patronize the business that is subpar. So bringing it back to the original topic about avoiding a CPS case, all of those are things that I can tell you to try to mitigate this problem because it's a real problem. I mean, it's really out here. It really is out here happening. And I think that, sometimes we want to bring our politics into medical care, but it really doesn't mix that well. I think you can feel however way you want to feel about care. And like, obviously, we know that the mortality rate of Black women morbidity as well as infant mortality is astronomically higher than other races. As Black folks, we know this. Um, Politicizing in the time of care, I have bared witness that it's really not helpful. It really puts everybody on edge and it doesn't really help you get better care. You're better off educating yourself on all the procedures and educating yourself on your treatment options and advocating for yourself within the realm that you're getting the care. And so that isn't necessarily bringing in Black Lives Matter rhetoric. It's really about informed consent, right? So I want to consent. I want to be informed and consent to any administration of medications and any procedures before they happen. And you can always slow down the pace of the care so that you don't feel railroaded and you don't feel um, bulldozed by things happening to you. It's important that you are part of your care and that you have a voice in your care. And as a mother, you have a voice in the care of your child. So oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I regret that as Black women, we are further burdened with yet another thing to do. And I wish it wasn't like this. I really do. But unfortunately, this is another burden that we bear as Black women, that we have to toe a fine line when it comes to interacting with the medical, when it comes to interacting with the medical industry, even interacting with the school system. We walk a fine line. Let me see what y'all talking about. Yes, it is about that story that you're probably thinking about. Um, Organization, but I'm thinking to myself that these orgs want press attention and they are helping. Do doctors get paid less or something? You're talking about doctors that serve Medicaid populations? Um, I'm not sure which doctors you're talking about. The gaslighting in the in Medicaid only space is horrendous. They hate when you stand your ground and have knowledge. They don't like their degree to be challenged. You're absolutely right. They really don't. And I've seen it many times. I've seen parents be dismissed from care because they didn't want to follow what the doctor was saying. And so literally them just saying, I'm not going to be your doctor anymore. Here's your letter of release. You have 30 days to find another doctor. So sometimes a lot of it can be avoided by just lying or omitting. I mean, I just think sometimes we're very boisterous with our choices, with our parenting choices, with our medical choices. And some of these are personal and they can just kind of like be kept to yourself. Because, yeah, there might be crunchy white women out here, raising their kids on a farm with no vaccinations and doing everything, having a home birth, having a baby on a farm, and nobody bothers them. But we are Black and things are different. Things are different. I mean, some of your own family will snitch on you too. Like some sometimes I'll tell people like if you want to do the home birth thing, like and your mother-in-law is vehemently against it, you might want to just keep it to yourself and lie and say you're going to the hospital and then just have your baby at home and just tell her, oh, well, I never made it to the hospital because the baby was coming too fast. Just lie. Just lie. Make your life easier. You don't have to be so forthcoming with your personal choices. Just lie. Lie and omit. because some of them people be the main ones calling in on you, especially if they don't agree with what you're doing. So, someone's hostile towards your philosophies and your point of view on life, just lie or omit. Don't tell them. That will save you some drama. So, yeah, my heart goes out to this family. I'm hoping that they get their child back, because I mean, I could not imagine. I couldn't imagine. Because I had my daughter at home. Um, and when I remember, I didn't really do vaccinations, and I remember the place I was taking her, they were like, "Well, she can't come here if she's not vaccinated." So I was like, "Okay, cool." And then one pediatrician didn't even want to take her just because she was born at home. They were like, "Yeah, we're not taking anybody from home birth." You're like, "What?" "Yeah, we're not taking anybody from home birth." And it was crazy because I was referred to her by a friend who had had, what, two home births? Yeah, I think two home births. How many kids does she have? She has three kids. Yeah, she had two home births. So she's the one who even referred me to her. And they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not even taking." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Listen, I don't want to be nowhere where I'm not welcome." So, believe it or not, I go to a Mexican pediatrician, okay, straight out of Mexico. And they do not bother me about vaccinations and stuff. So, would I have liked to go to a Black pediatrician? Yes. But what I have found is they, it is so hard. I have a whole, I have a whole understanding about like why Black physicians, at least where I am, are so aggressive. I mean, aggressive is not probably the word. They don't deviate from what the CDC says, okay? They don't deviate from anything. They don't practice medicine liberally. I'll say that much. The way white practitioners do. And I don't know if it's because they're afraid of litigation or whatever, but they only follow to the T. Okay. They don't have, there's no room for nuance. At least I'm not speaking for the whole entire country. I'm speaking for my area, from my where I live. They uh they don't there's no nuance with the way they practice medicine. There's no, like, taking into account of like someone's individual situation. They're just like, "No, this is what we do to everybody, so this is the thing that you need to get." So anyway, I go to the Mexicans, and they do not bother me, okay, about what I do. We go once a year because my child is never sick. I promise you, this child is never sick. I breastfed her for 2 years. She's never sick. I only take her to the doctor once a year for a checkup, and they do not bother me about vaccinations and blah blah blah. One lady was giving me a hard time because I may do like polio, and I was thinking of doing measles and mumps, but I would like each individual. I want each individual vaccine to be administered. Like, I don't want measles, mumps, rubella, varicella. I don't want a combination. I want them broken up. I want them broken out. So, however way I need to purchase those, I want to purchase those, but I do not want all those vaccinations given at the same time. That's me. And so she was kind of getting irritated with me because I had so many questions. I'm like, "I want to see the box. I want to see the lot number. I want to see where this was manufactured. I want to know the manufacturer date. I want to know if there's any recalls on this particular batch." I have questions. Okay. I'm an informed patient, and I have questions. And she was very irritated about this. But you know what? Girl, keep it moving, keep it pushing. I'm going to find somebody that can answer my questions. Because as far as I know, I heard through the grapevine that Israeli people have individualized vaccines and they don't do all the vaccines clumped together the way Americans do. So if I got to go to Israel or get it somehow that way, then I'll do that, you know? Like if there's a will, there's a way. Yeah, that is so sad about the Black professionals, though. Oh gosh, that's so bad. Some of them I still kind of work with a little bit, but a lot of times, I mean, I've had them bully women I know. I've had them bully. I've had them bully them. And it's just so sad because usually when I talk to women, they're aware of the mortality rates and they really do want to see a Black provider. And it's sad when I have to be like, well, what you want to do though? Oh, you want to have a natural birth? Oh, you want to get in the shower? Oh, you want to walk around? Oh, you want intermittent monitor? Okay, well, you got to go to this white man over here. What? The white man? Yeah. You need to go to this white man over here because that's what he does. That's his specialty. Oh, you got a breech baby? Oh, you need to go over there to that white man over there. Because these Black professionals ain't trying to hear no breech, nothing. Okay? They're not even going to try to turn the baby or any. They're not even going to attempt to. So you're going to have to drive a far distance to get to this white man over there where he will try to help you have your baby vaginally. And that just is what it is over here where I live. I hope that when all this is said and done that they can kind of disclose the pediatrician's name who has caused all this drama, because I think that the people in that community need to know who that person is so that they can know not to take their children there. You know, I know when my daughter was like 18 months and I was still breastfeeding her and I took her to a new pediatrician and he was asking something about milk and I was like, yeah, she's still breastfed. He was like, why are you still breastfeeding her? And it's like, listen, sir, I don't go off of CDC. I go off of World Health Organization. Okay, I have a Black child. I use World Health Organization data. I don't really fool with the CDC like that. Okay. I don't really go by American Academy of Pediatrics that says to breastfeed your child for 6 months. I don't really fool with that. I deal with the World Health Organization that, you know what, their data has more Black children in it. So when it comes to growth charts, when it comes to breastfeeding globally, most children I think are breastfed for like 4 years globally. And so 2 years is nothing. Like I don't really fool with this American stuff like that because not enough Black children are included in the studies. So it's not relevant to me as a Black woman with a Black child. So I'm going out the World Health Organization and I'm doing just fine. We're doing great, actually. So I guess my concluding thoughts are remember to lie, learn how to lie, get comfortable with lying when you need to. It is a tool, okay? Lying is a tool to be used as needed when you need to, and omitting is a skill that you need to learn. Telling people whatever they want to hear and then go do whatever you want to do, okay? Go to the good neighborhood, go to the good side of town to get medical care, okay? Do whatever you got to do to get into a nice area where the clientele has high standards. Okay. And think outside the box when it comes to medical providers. Don't just think that because they're skin folk that they're gonna like give you the best care. That isn't always necessarily the truth. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Peace and love.